Let's talk about closing time real quick. A relatively new perk that was so good, Bungie gave it the highest possible award it could bestow, a nerf. But I mean, really, what do you expect when you make a weapon perk that does like 3 freaking things? Anyway, the nerf dropped along with Act 3, and the effects are now halved if you're using the perk on a special ammo weapon. Therefore, the big question, obviously, is closing time still good? Well, that's what I wanted to find out, so I did, and why don't we talk about it? There are 2 different categories I want to talk about in regards to closing time: shotguns and fusion rifles. That's right, y'all, Fallout shotgun testing video. Every time I think I'm out,
they pull me back in.
Let's get on the same page real quick. And I apologize in advance for the technical yapping. Closing time does 3 things which get stronger as your magazine gets lower. 1, it buffs your range. 2, it buffs your handling. And 3, it tightens your accuracy cone. According to D2 Foundry, the numbers on closing time are as follows. The range buff goes from +10 to 20, depending on how low you are in the mag. The handling buff is around +30 to 50, give or take. And the size of your accuracy cone shrinks by around 5 to 10%, give or take. So if we're only getting half that effect on a special weapon, then the new closing time numbers should actually look like this: +5 to +10 range, +15 to +25 handling, and a 2.5% to 5% tighter accuracy cone. But now that we're about to talk about shotguns, here's a fun fact. Pellet spread shotguns don't have an accuracy cone. The aim assist cone is still there, which is how the spread can be deflected towards a target. We'll go ahead and take a look at slug shotties shortly, but for now, why don't we start with pellet shotties. Prophet of Doom is great for what we're doing here right now because you can craft it with either closing time or closing time's biggest PvP competitor, opening shot, which both live in column 4. Testing on a friend in a private lobby, I found that from about 8 meters away, the Prophet of Doom with the opening shot was dealing just a tad more damage to my friend each and every time than the one with closing time. From 7 meters away, the shotty with opening shot locked up the 1-hit kill every time, whereas the one with closing time only got a 1-hit kill 1 time, and every other time it just looked like this: close but no cigar. If you look at the numbers on opening shot, it kinda makes sense. +20 aim assist and +25 range, give or take. Compared to the +10 range we're getting from closing time, it's no comparison that if you're looking for the deepest 1-hit kill range possible on a spread shotty, the winner is opening shot. But that is not to say that opening shot is now officially better than closing time or anything like that, because remember, closing time also gives handling, which is really important on a shotgun. In fact, most of the time in PvP, you're probably not going to be exactly 7.0 meters away from the other guy. Sometimes you might be so close to him that you can smell their breath, and at that point, handling will matter way more than deep 1-hit kill range. Therefore, both perks still have their merit. It's just going to depend on what you need more. In PvP, I am still an Ophidian aspect main, which gives me gobs of free handling. Therefore, if I'm using a pellet spread shotgun, I'm probably going to go with opening shot over closing time because I already get a bunch of free handling, and I'd rather have the extra aim assist and range. But is closing time straight up bad now? I'm gonna say definitely not. It's still just as good as it was before. You just kind of have to ask yourself now if you want more handling or slightly more range if you're weighing opening shot and closing time. Now, why don't we talk about slug shotguns real quick, which get much more of a benefit from running closing time because unlike pellet spread shotguns, slug shotguns do have an accuracy cone. In terms of deep 1-hit kill testing, I actually recorded some pre-Act 3 footage just because I was curious. Before the nerf, my Lone Wolf closing time Legato was able to get a 1-hit kill from 11 meters away with 284 damage to the head. From 12 meters away, I didn't get the 1-hit kill, but locked up 218 damage. After the closing time nerf went into effect, at 11 meters away, I got a 1-hit kill, but with 274 damage, and from 12 meters away, I didn't get the 1-hit kill, but landed 213 damage, which remember was 218 before. Generally speaking, this is really tame overall. Yeah, it's a slight range nerf, but most slug shotgun mains probably aren't going to feel it at all. And because closing time, remember, gets a handling buff, which again, shotguns really appreciate, I still think it's an A+ perk on slug shot shotties overall. If you have a slug shotgun with opening shot, I still think that is also worth consideration, aka I don't think closing time is the end-all be-all god perk. Again, you just gotta ask yourself if you want way better handling on your shotty or more range and a little bit more aim assist via opening shot. Everyone's answer will be different, and that is fine. TLDR, in the shotgun department, closing time is still great. IMO, it is definitely better on slug shotties in particular because pellet spread shotties do not have an accuracy cone, but yeah, still good. All right, why don't we talk about fusion rifles? And we're going to be talking about one in particular, which as of right now is the most used fusion rifle in PvP, Zealot's Reward. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I don't F around with fusion rifles as much as I do shotguns, but that's okay because in addition to doing some fiddling in a private lobby, I also reached out to resident fusion guy Lego, and that was a really helpful conversation, which I'm basically gonna paraphrase right now. In short, closing time is easily my #1 perk on PvP fusion rifles because range is so important. Even with the range buff on closing time for special weapons getting halved, there are no other perks out there that give fusion rifles a flat range buff, so it's still a plus. And by the way, if you're confused and remember a time where stability was the end-all be-all weapon stat on fusion rifles, here is a quick update. Stability is still important to make sure your bolt spread is tight enough to lock up a one-shot kill. That is to say, if you're really far away from the other guy and your stability is bad and your bolts don't all connect, you're not going to get a one-shot kill. However, unless your fusion rifle has laughably low stability, most fusion rifle mains usually have their fusion kick under control, and because that is the case, they like to dump as much as they can into range. And despite the recent nerf, closing time just gives your fusion rifle flat extra range for free, so in short, it's still kinda fantastic. And by the way, that is a big part of what makes Zealot so disgusting. Because it's craftable and can get fitted with so much range, it's able to consistently kill from around 18-ish meters away, which is gross considering the goddamn thing is a rapid fire frame fusion, which normally they're not supposed to be that good from that far away. Not to say there aren't other good fusion rifle perks. Successful warm-up and controlled burst on the Zealot in particular are also cash money for their own reasons. But yeah, until there are other weapon perks on fusion rifles that dish out range for free, don't expect the controller Zealot gremlins to go away anytime soon. Bless their dirty little hearts. In short, I never really like giving blanket answers to stuff like this because it's always going to depend on the exact gun and the exact role and all that stuff. But is closing time still good? I think I can safely say, yeah. Thanks very much for watching. See you next time.